I'm Greg, Charlie. How are you?
Better than I deserve.
Hey, you're coming back to Australia again in September. What are your memories of your first trip down here?
Gosh, I don't remember the first trip. I just remember that every trip's been really a pleasure. It's we just love it there. We have a lot of friends there we've made over the years and a lot of great times. It's always a good time in Australia. We really miss it and looking forward to getting back. It's been too long.
Yeah. The band you're bringing down here, Kid Andersen on guitar, June Core on drums, Randy Bermudes on bass.
Yeah.
Um, where did you come across those guys?
Oh, I've known them for decades. Uh, uh, they've all been with me to Australia before.
Yeah.
Uh, we still work together all the time. I've known them for a long time. They're all great musicians, and when they're not working with me, they get plenty of work with other guys.
Yeah. Do you prepare a set list or do you just read the room?
I always have a set list, and I often will veer off in different directions, but I just like having the list in case I draw a blank. Or sometimes I just feel like changing, throwing in something or a different tune. So it can change depending on the situation.
Yeah,
We're improvising all the time anyhow, so
that's right.
the, the tune's never the same
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about the old days, if I could. When you met guys like Muddy Waters and Howlin Wolf, they were blues heroes to you and many others. Um,
Yeah,
Now you're that guy that everyone looks up to and wants to play with. Do you feel any kind of responsibility to keep the blues flame alive, or are you just doing what you do anyway?
I think all blues players have felt a responsibility to keep the blues alive. Um, there's something special about blues. It's different from any other kind of music. It's not a fad. It's really a thing of the heart. And I think all really good blues players know that. And when I went up to Chicago, guys like Muddy and Howlin' Wolf and Little Walter, they were really pleased that somebody young was coming to see them. I mean, they were knocked out that I had their records and I knew the titles of all their tunes, and I was a fan because it was strictly adult music, and kids my age just weren't interested. Very few, especially black kids my age, thought I was nuts. They say, "Why do you listen to that? That's the old folks' music." I say, "Man, I like Howlin' Wolf. Howlin' Wolf, man, you got to get up with the times." They thought I was crazy.
So
I,
what was it?
what
What
I liked, and I had to stick with it.
Yeah, well, what was it that made those guys so great in performance? What did you learn from watching them play?
Oh, well, like for instance, Robert Nighthawk, he played slide guitar, and I used to watch how he played. I could see his patterns. So he didn't actually teach me, but I learned watching him how to play his style of slide guitar.
Yeah,
Harmonica, that's a different story. You can't really watch somebody play and you can't see anything. You can't even see what you're playing yourself. So you really have to just internalize it and soak it in listening.
yeah. Uh, the harp players a bit like magicians. You got your own tricks, and nobody gets to know how it works.
Well, I always say every harmonica player seems to have something unique to him that makes him special.
Yeah. You've told the story before, but I wonder if you could recollect it. Living in Memphis in the early days, when Elvis Presley would open up the fairground. Can you tell me about those events?
Well, he had these parties in different places around Memphis that always go from midnight to dawn. And he'd rent the fairgrounds, or he'd rent a theater and show all the latest movies, or he'd rent a skating rink, or different places like that. And I had Elvis's phone number, so I could call up and find out where the party was going to be because it wasn't in the newspaper or nothing like that. You had to really know who to talk to about that. And so it was great to go to those parties. I was going mostly because there were so many pretty girls there. Woo!
We had your friend Buddy Guy out here last year on his farewell tour. Tell me about your friendship with Buddy and how far back does that go?
Oh, back to the early 60s. I remember seeing him in clubs around Chicago, and even before him and Junior Wells teamed up together. And then I knew Junior and Buddy when they were playing together. I used to see him at Teresa's, a club. They played that often in Chicago. They were there all the time. And they kind of got more and more famous and started touring more. And we were all getting out of town, hitting the road.
Yeah. If you had a time machine, is there one show that you'd like to travel back to?
Well, if I had a time machine, I'd like to go back to see Charlie Patton in his prime. And that would be really something to see.
Yeah.
Only one photo of Charlie Patton, but I've heard about what a showman he was, and he'd throw his guitar up in the air and play behind his back and all this stuff. I'd like to see that because he's really the king of the Delta blues.
Yeah. What do you think you would have done for a job if you didn't succeed in music?
Oh, well, I'd been doing a lot of factory work, and I was becoming a mold maker when I finally hit the road and started earning enough to make a living. After that, my first album came out. That really gave me a career. That was my ticket out of the factory.
Yeah. That
I don't
album.
know what I want. I knew I wanted to roam and ramble and see the world. I don't know how I would have done it otherwise, but it sure paid off
Yeah.
with music. So I don't know what I really would have done, but I knew I wanted to travel.
That debut album you spoke about, Stand Back, Here Comes Charlie Musselwhite's Southside Band, was very influential. Were you surprised by the feedback you got from that?
Yeah, I still am surprised. I said I was only like 22 when I made that album, and it was kind of just a lark, you know. I mean, that band didn't even exist except in the studio. I just called up some guys and told them to meet me in the studio, and the producer Sam Charter said, "You got 3 hours," and we knocked it out. I guess in a little under 3 hours. Uh, it's unheard of to do a whole album in 3 hours.
Yeah.
He didn't want to pay double scale, and if you went 1 minute over 3 hours, they would have had to pay double scale. And Vanguard, the label, didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
In fact, I was looking forward to getting my check for the session, and the union calls me up and says, "We got your check from Vanguard. Come on down and get it." And I went down to the union, and they said, "Well, you got to pay us $4 work dues to get your check." I said, "How much is that check for?" It was for 36 cents because Vanguard deducted everything they could think of. They didn't want to pay me a penny. And I didn't have the $4 for work dues, so I didn't even get my 36-cent check. Good old Vanguard.
Well, what about recording these days? Do you still record to analog tape, or have you gone to the dark side into digital recording?
Well, I do what I can do where I can do it, but my last album, which is still in the can, as they say, uh, should come out this year, I hope. It was recorded digitally, I believe. I'm not even sure. Uh, it was done in different places and put together, but it's hard to come across tape these days.
Yeah.
And
Mississippi.
getting so good at it, it's my Mississippi Sun was done digitally, and people thought it sounded so good they assumed it was tape.
Yeah.
That was done right here in Clarksdale.
Yeah, it's a great album. Is there a track on that album that's closer to your heart than others?
Oh, I like them all. Uh, Blues Gave Me a Ride was kind of a good one.
Yeah, yeah, they're all good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, how much gear do you travel with? How many harps when you hop on a plane? How many harps do you bring? Do you travel with a guitar?
I often travel with a guitar because if Elvin Bishop and I are doing a duo show, I'll play guitar on at least one tune, and I carry a couple of dozen harmonicas. A lot of them are spares in case one breaks a reed or something. I got another one ready to go.
Yeah. Are you a collector of instruments? Do you keep many guitars and harps at home?
Yeah, I've got a lot of old guitars and a lot of old harmonicas, but I don't really consider myself a collector. Just from time to time, I'll come across something and I'll think, well, that's kind of cool and take it with me, you know. But I'm not like a collector like some guys I know that, you know, they're way into collecting. They're always searching online for stuff, and I'm not at that level.
Yeah. In general, you play a harp through a pedal rather than just the PA system. I saw you on social media a photo with a nice Kalamazoo amp the other day.
Oh yeah, yeah, I love the sound of an old tube amp, and that amp isn't really big enough for a live show, but it's great for in the studio recording. It's got a killer tone.
Yeah.
I probably have at least a dozen amps, maybe more, of every size you can think of.
Yeah. What do you generally play through on stage? Like a tour to Australia, what will you play through?
Well, most likely a Fender Bassman.
Oh, okay.
That's the most reliable for my sound. Here I have a amp called a Sonny Junior. It's made just for harmonica, and it's got a killer tone. I've got four of those, maybe five.
Yeah. Um, you say you've got an album in the can. When you're writing, do you write on the road? Are you able to do that, or do you prefer to be home with home comforts to be able to write?
On the road, I'll make notes. Something will come to mind. I'll just jot something down. Then when I get home, I take those all those little notes and pieces of paper and napkins and things I wrote on and spread them out and look at them and see what goes together. And often what I start out with is not what I end up with, but it's just a place to start. And as it unfolds, it might go in any kind of direction. I don't know. But I, to me, I always say the music will take you where it wants to go if you open up to it. So I try to be open to the music, leading me to where it wants to be.
Yeah. Are there any bucket list projects in the back of your mind, things that you still want to do that you haven't done yet?
Well, I'm working on my biography, and it might come out this year. I wouldn't mind doing some more movies with Scorsese. That was fun. Uh, Other than that, just I'm pretty much doing what I love to do, and life is good.
Yeah. Any career regrets?
Well, I quit drinking, which is a good thing, but looking back, I wish I'd have quit a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a long list of regrets, but we don't need to go there.
Well, Charlie, it's been great to chat with you, and we look forward to seeing you very soon back here in Australia.
I hope you come see me and come early, stay late, and enjoy the music. And we can't wait to get there and see all our friends.
Thanks, mate. That's great.
Thank you. Stay well.
Thanks, Charlie. We'll see you down here.
I'll be looking for you.
Okay.